Let's get the rock out of here.
You're listening to PJ and Friends on pjandfriends.com. Orlando, Florida. The views and opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of this station, owners, management, and sponsors. If you find any content disagreeable, you may exercise your right to change the channel. And now, on with the show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're on the air at PJ and Friends, broadcasting live from Orlando, Florida. It is Wednesday, August 20th, 2013, and we have an awesome guest on, and Mr. David Razowsky.
That's me.
And I kind of refer to you as like the Yoda of acting and improv, and I don't know if that's too grand of a title for you, but let me give you a little history about how I came to know Mr. Razowsky, and it was very lucky that SAC Comedy Lab here in Orlando, Florida, brought David in for a series of workshops. It was like a long week for you. You were here for a long time doing several classes a day, and it was like the Messiah had come and saved the world. I mean, it was great stuff. And so for like weeks afterwards, people were glowing and happy and talking about all sorts of in tongues and things like this. And it really has affected a lot of and changed a lot of positiveness here in Orlando, and at least a lot of people that took your classes. And so it's been a treat to take those classes. And you also have your own webcast or podcast. It's ADD of Comedy. What is it now?
ADD Comedy with Dave Razowsky and Ian Foley. I think we're going to change the name.
Why? You don't like the name?
No, I like the name. It's just that I think that it's not what it was that we thought what it was, which is probably what you experience as well, where you go, it's not ADD Comedy. I think it might just be, and I think we're going to lose Ian Foley's name. That was Ian's suggestion. He's our producer. Because it's become more about my personality than it has about ADD Comedy. I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
so
it
we're
does.
looking at that. But yeah, it's called ADD Comedy with Dave Razowsky and Ian Foley, and it's just such an interesting thing to do, and I know that you probably feel this way as well, where you get obsessed about the programming, and your show is so produced. I mean, for me, it sounds like, I mean, Ian and I are essentially, if not literally, talking into an iPhone, but the first iPhone. But your show, wow, it's coming at me.
You say that, but the challenge with this is there's a lot of moving parts of this, and things don't want to work quite often. So
yeah, but it sounds great. I mean, it's like this wave of a sonic wave that comes at you, and it's like, wow, what's happening? And in a good way.
I appreciate that. No, it comes from several years ago. After I'd taken several of the classes at SAC and graduated, and many of us had formed a troupe, and we were trying to promote the troupe, and we'd gone from radio station to radio station. There's one little AM station over in Ormond Beach, Florida, that when we sat in on one of their shows, it was a travel selling. They sold all sorts of stuff. It was like what is it? That little thing that they sell stuff on TV, the HNL show, whatever it is, and they were selling stuff on. Yeah, QVC. And we were on there, and apparently it was, again, like a tax audit. They were blah, 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 blah. So we get in there, we're joking and playing, and apparently they had a lot of reaction to that, and so then they gave us a show. And the problem is I live in Orlando. That's in Ormond Beach. It's like a 60-mile drive, and we're doing it 3 times a week, and we still have real jobs because there really wasn't much money or any money into this, actually. But we had an intro, we had music, and we had this, and the station had some legal problems, so we had to stop that. But I guess I have this fantasy that this is my world, and I want to keep it up. And so yeah, we have the intros and the outros and all that stuff. But
I love it. I mean, it's really great.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. I have a question for you, and again, I'm going to preface this by saying, I'm not like you. I'm not as trained as you are. I'm not as have a good of an eye, and don't even think for a minute that I'm at your level of being able to critique performances. But I find myself, even today, after taking your class, but also a lot of the things SAC is teaching, they've gone from the theory that you're an improviser, but you're an actor that does improvisation. And
Right.
so now I go to, like, I have a hard time, for example, going to movies and not look for, and not see that was dumb, or I can see this coming, or what's the old one? If you're in a European country, there's always going to be a fruit cart that gets overturned during a chase. And you
Right.
see these things coming from a mile away. When you go to a theater, when you go to a show, are you able to enjoy it, or do you actually find yourself, you're the instructor and you see that was not good?
I feel blessed that I can sit and watch other people's art. That the accessibility, everything's so accessible nowadays. And when I go to see a play, I'm certainly more critical about it than when I go to see a movie, because I'm just not in the movie business. No, I'm not in the movie business. But when I go to see a play, it's very different. I will go and see a play and want to get lost in the story and want to get lost in the performances, and I love doing that. But when something stands out to me, I do go, oh, well, that stands out. But I look at it as more like a fun thing than anything else. I want to walk out of a show being totally immersed and not think about those things. But if I do think about those things, it's not a negative thing, it's a positive thing. And I do it in improvisation, of course, a tremendous amount, where I look at somebody and go, shut up, stop talking, stop talking. I just worked with a bunch of actors at the Steppenwolf School of Steppenwolf Theater. We had a program at Cal State Monterey Bay. And one of the things that I kept doing to the actors at the beginning of us working together was looking at them and saying, in an improv scene, saying, less. You have to do less. You have to do less. You have to do less. And I think it drove them crazy because they're not used to somebody saying, calm it all down. Just calm it down.
Right.
But I can't. I feel lucky in that I could get all that not frustration. I could get all that need to inform an actor out in my teaching and my directing. I don't need to go to a play to do that.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah,
it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me.
But do you find
Not many things bother me. Not many things bother me.
You in one of your classes, it's funny. In one of your classes, I think there was a scenario where the phrase is, "I don't care about the bike. We don't care if they ever fix the bike." And I
It's improv scene.
Yeah. And one of the things is when I was a kid, there was a lot of these TV shows on that were all these endless quests. I'm going to name a few, but you're never going to remember them probably. There's the Legend of Matthew Starr. There's one called The Phoenix, and there's these people that have these endless, non-ending quests, and they never seem to get anywhere. And I see them trying to do this today. For example, now. A lot of the shows that I'm interested in, they don't even give them a chance anymore because of they're on for a season, and if they don't get the numbers, they're done. So I'm having a hard time getting invested in these shows. But what I'm seeing is you've got Revolution, you've got Falling Skies, and you've got everything's an apocalyptic end. I mean, how many different ways can you destroy the earth, and at what point does it become? We need to find something new because this isn't working for me as an audience member anymore.
Well, I think that the majority of television is less about the creation of art and pulling people in than it is about commerce. And I totally understand what you're saying. But a major thing about TV is the people want what they get, and that's a problem. It's not that the people get what they want, it's the people want what they get. And yeah, there's only one season going on, but I think a lot of people feel burned by shows like Lost, where they invested so much time in it, and then they go, really, you're going to make me do this again and then have an ending like that? It's like, what am I supposed to do? You owe me 6 years of my life.
Yes, that's so true. Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me is for a long time, though, the TV industry hadn't taken into consideration the DVR. So a lot of shows were getting canceled based on the actual viewership versus when they were viewing it at their leisure. I think they've changed that. Now they've caught up with it. Now they're actually able to measure, the worth of a show based on who's watched it and when, and oftentimes how many times they've gone back to look at it.
Right.
Now, shows, places like Netflix, for example, that are releasing whole seasons, which I think is an awesome thing, because there are times where I don't get hooked into a show. First, I will not get involved with the show until the second season. Why? Because I know it's got some staying power. I don't want to get hooked into it and fall in love with the characters, only to find out that because some bigwig somewhere didn't see something they needed to see and it's gone.
Right.
But it's kind of cool to go in there and say, it's like, you've got the whole book. You're not getting a chapter at a time. You've got the whole book there, and you can watch the whole thing. I think that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. I think that everything is changing so much now. I think that we're living in this wonderful time of access, and I know that even to the point where there's too much access, not too much. I'm thinking about the NSA and the amount of information that we're able to give people. So there's that end of things where it's like, oh my God, you're data mining and what, blah, 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 blah. But there's also the other side, which is like, I can watch anything I want, anytime I want, and everybody is watching me watching these things. So they're now making it so they're customizing. You got Pandora, you've got Spotify, where they're coming in and saying, if you liked if you like Miles Davis, then you're probably going to like Coltrane. And they're going to turn me on to that. And I'm going to look at that and go, oh my God, I am living in a place where information is coming at me, but also inspiration is coming at me as well. To know that there are analytics that are being thrown about that are able to say, David likes this, but I don't know that David knows about this. And being a curious person, I'm a very curious person, being a curious person, I go, oh, I didn't know about that guy. I didn't know about that. So I think that there's just so much awesome information. And this is what I've been doing lately is saying, oh, I'm not interested in finishing that story. I'm not interested in, they didn't catch my attention. They didn't give me my attention. So a friend of mine has a phrase where she says, oh, you know what? I had to divorce that TV show. I just had to divorce. Our relationship is over. Right. And I feel like that's exactly what it is because I don't have the time. And it's not that I don't have the time because there's so much going on. I don't have the time because it's not that I don't have the time. I don't have the time because there is so much greatness going on. Right. And if your show is derivative, go scratch. I just feel like if your show is just like every other show on TV, and the reason that your show is called Buddies is because it's a Friends knockoff, I'm done. There's no way you're going to make it. There's just no way you're going to make it because there's already a show called Friends.
And that's the thing. I watch the shows, and I look at them, and they're ones I can tell just by looking at it if it's something I'm not interested in. And the previews I'll see. For example, I don't know that there's been a movie that I've actually had a hearty laugh at in years.
Right.
And I don't know if I think it's a combination of things. I think I've changed.
Right.
Back then, as growing up, my maturity has changed in what I'm looking for. Now, for example, a show that I'd love to see more of, the Aliens series. Again, not just for they did Prometheus a year or so ago, and they're talking about doing another one. And I would love to see that storyline, and I'd like to see that continue. I had to go back and look at a couple of chats and a couple where Ridley Scott, I think it was, who directed and wrote this, and he was people were trying to define what the movie was. And after I read what he wrote, and understanding what some of the meanings were, I thought, oh my God, I want to see this continue. And then as I watched the blogs about all the political stuff going behind the scenes to get this to work, I again as a fan or as my dollar, I'm thinking, oh, they're going to screw this up for me, or some bigwig is going to say, I want to see more of this versus where it would have gone had you just left them alone.
I think you're reading too many blogs.
That may be.
For me, I look at it and I go, I like Downton Abbey, but I'm not going to read about how it was put together. It doesn't bother me because it's like in an improv scene. The how you got there or why you're there doesn't matter as much as you're there.
Right.
That's where you are. And all the time that I'm spending, and I understand, I want to know as much as I can about this. But at the end of the day, I don't need to know what the mixture of cyan and magenta was in order for George O'Keeffe to come up with that flower. I don't need to know that. I don't need to know what kind of canvas she used or the nails that tied into that. I don't need to know the trombone or the horn that Miles Davis used. I don't need to know that. All that I care about is, do I like that song? Do I like her picture? That's all that matters to me. And the rest of that magic, behind the scenes magic, that's great. And for me, I feel it's just for me. I feel like if that was my business, and I would check it out. But I think that our society is so curious now, and we do have so much access to the blogs and things like that. But most of the people that are writing these blogs are blowhards, and they're just like, they're sitting in their office or whatever you want to call it, in their underpants, just like I am, typing away. Maybe they don't know, they might know more than I do, but at the end of the day, it's the output. It's that show that I love, or it's that painting that I love, or it's that musical piece that I love, or it's that comedy bit that I love. And that's all that matters. All those names that you gave me, I don't watch TV. I just don't. My TV's right over there, and the poor thing's sitting there all being rectangular and black and beautiful. And I go, one day I'll get over there. One day I'll get on that couch and I'll watch. What gets me, though, is when you do invest the time into it, and Deadwood is a great example, or Rome is a great example. Those two shows where I'm like, oh, this is really what? It's over? What happened? There's a bunch of characters floating in the ether going, I don't know. There's the guys from Deadwood, characters from Deadwood talking to characters from Rome saying, do you think we'll be called up? I don't know. I think it's all over. So, those are the shows that I go, oh, I loved it so much, but maybe that's what you're saying.
I want to change gears just a little bit. Your history. You were at Second City, correct?
Yes.
Now, I was looking at the history. I'm a big fan of the history related to, for example, I love the history that became SAC, and I actually, researched a little bit and talked to a lot of the founders and so forth. And as I was looking into this, I never realized that Ben Stiller and not Ben Stiller, but was it Jerry Stiller and Mira were both a part of that. What was it? What was the name of the first troupe that they had? The Compass Players, I think it was.
The Compass Players, right?
Right. Do they ever come back? Do they ever come back and see the place? Or
yeah, I believe that they do. I mean, I think that that Stiller, Jerry Stiller, and Ann Mira. I think that's Jerry and Ann Mira. I'm sure that they come back, like just to check it out. But they were at such a small part of it. I think that they were in the company in New York, I believe, when the company was in New York, and they were at a small part of it. So they don't have. I could be totally wrong, but I don't think that they have the romantic nostalgia that other people have, like Avery Schreiber when he was alive, he would come by, and other people that would come by. So a lot of these people do come back, and it's really exciting when they do come back. But there's also like other celebrities that come there that are curious, and that's the most awesome thing. The other day, last week, Paul Simon showed up.
Really?
And he did a little impromptu concert there. Like, are you kidding me? There was one time where I remember I just left Second City, and that was when what's that Mel Gibson movie about it was the Scottish. Oh, I'm going to get this wrong.
Braveheart.
Braveheart. So there was somebody they were doing an improv set, and somebody was going, I don't want to wear, the kid was talking to his dad, I don't want to wear a kilt, I don't want to wear my kilt. It's like, well, William Wallace would wear his kilt. It's like, William Wallace wouldn't wear his kilt. We're today. And sure enough, who walks out? Mel Gibson walks out because he's happened to be in the audience. The audience did not expect him to be there. And they go crazy over it. It's just like, what? And your mind explodes going, what? So that's really the exciting thing when people come and people have the balls to go up there and to do the improv sets. Yeah, everybody else comes back. I don't remember. I don't think Bill Murray ever came back. But I was there for the 30th. I was there for the 40th. I was there for the 50th. And to see those people come back for the 50th was crazy. Because you just had an act of archival material that the actors who did it were performing it. We had two acts. The first act was people performing it on the main stage, and in the back in the ETC was another cast performing their material. And then at intermission they switched. And that was amazing because you walk backstage and you see Joe Flaherty and Catherine O'Hara sitting there with George Wendt and Tim Kazurinsky, and you saw Steve Carell and Steve Colbert, and you've got like all these people Martin Short's there, and Adrian Martin's there, and everybody's walking through. You're walking through, and Robert Klein's there, and David Steinberg's there, and you're going, "What's happening?" You're backstage saying, "This is craziness. I'm in the midst of something that will never ever happen again." And to watch these people and to see these people, it's just so exciting, and it will not. And to say it will not happen again isn't like, I feel sorry for the children. It's more than lines of, it won't happen again. Man, that's not going to happen again. And while you're in the middle of that thing, look around and say, this will never happen again. And here's another thing. Look around right now at the stuff that you have and go, this moment will never happen again. Not that I have all those celebrities here, but right now, this moment that I'm in right now, that's a great moment.
So how would you say the theater and improv has changed since you were studying? Since you started?
Well, there are a lot more women who are in it, and that's always helpful. We are at a point right now, and it's crazy because I'm a very political person, and so I notice when political change takes place. And I think it's awesome that we're talking on the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. And if anybody has an opportunity, once you're done watching this, take a look at that speech. But I think that right now, the fact that when I started out in 82, 83, a woman walking on stage, you go, "Mom, what are you doing here?" Or a woman walking on stage would say, "Now, kids, as your mom, you should go to bed." But now women are walking on stage saying, "All right, I got the test results back, and me and the other doctors are thinking blah, 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 blah." Also, we don't blink, at least up here we don't, or out here, wherever I am in cyberspace, we don't blink when it's like two guys that are married or two guys have a relationship. The point of the scene isn't that they're gay. The point of the scene isn't that they're together. The point of the scene is their relationship. That's the point of the scene. So that sort of stuff has really, really changed. We've become more accessible, I think. And we paid. Also, the thing that's different is our scenes have become shorter. All the long form scenes have become shorter because people think that they have to do that. I don't think that, but people think that they have to do that.
Who are your influences now?
It's a really interesting thing. Who are my influences now? I always talk about Dave Pasquesi and TJ Jagodowski. I look at what they're doing, and when I'm able to watch their shows, it just blows me away. My influences are also anything that's slow, any work that's mindful and present is very influential to me. I'm continuing this life as a spiritual journey, and I'm reading a lot of books on mindfulness and presentness. So anybody who's talking about that sort of stuff, that's it. I feel that if I play slowly, if I play mindfully, the people that are around me are going to play mindfully as well, and then we're going to discover what our voice is. And that voice is just so important. It's just so important to go, I'm here to expand and explore. Did that answer the question?
It did.
I don't have anybody in specific because...
And I see what you're saying. You know, SAC Comedy Lab does they have some short form. They have like the Duel of Fools that they have here. But they've also brought in some really cool shows. Jay Hopkins and David Charles did a thing it's a year or so ago where it was a long form deal, but it involved a lot of improvisation in the sense that they took a lot of suggestions, but then they did I think it's Is This Seat Taken? And I think it took a lot of the regulars kind of caught them off guard because it was a little more than just funny. It was artistic. It was more theatrical. It did have very funny moments to it, but sometimes they were pretty intense. I mean, some of the scenes, and I love that stuff. I love when I get to, and you never know when it's going to happen. You never know when that scene or what show is going to be like, that was awesome. For example, a bad example is, I used to go to a lot of the dinner theaters over at Disney, and there was a period of time where I would go every month, and people would say, "Why do you go? It's the same show." No, it's not, because every once in a while, an actor would do something different, and it would be, although it was scripted, they would say something, they would do something, and that was what I was looking for, and that would fill me. That would oh my God, this is awesome. And so, while I love the short form, and I think it teaches people how to react, and it's almost like a workshop, the short form stuff, but the long form stuff that gives you a chance to take a breath, to learn your partner's character, to see where they're going, to see where you're going, and then to influence that as you move forward, that is great stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I also agree with what you're talking about seeing a show seeing one show that you've seen more than one time, because then you're looking at structure, and you're looking at blocking, and you're looking at tension, and you're looking at building the tension. I saw a production of August Osage County, Tracy Lett's awesome piece that's now being made into a movie. I saw 3 versions of that done by 3 different casts of Steppenwolf. And it was just amazing to watch the first show because it's 3 acts. It's a long show. It's 3 acts. And there's something that happens at the end of the second act that shocks you at first, and then when you watch it again, you're going, I got to pay attention to that because it's coming, and then you're going, oh my God, I didn't pay too much attention, and it shocked me again. The third time, you're able to watch it build up, and as you're watching it build up, you're watching the characters move in certain places, and it's a slow, it's glacial in its evolution and movement, and to watch that and to be present with that is really an awesome thing to give yourself permission to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. One of the things I'm on the lower levels at SAC. I'm at the lab rat there, so there's still a lot of learning going on. And I see people, even myself, when I'm uncomfortable on stage is probably when I do the better work. When I'm, you're not in your head, you're unsure, you're like, I love it when people get up. I don't know this game. Perfect. You don't need to know the game, and I feel so bad for them because I know they're terrified and all that. But if you were in the audience when you see that on their faces, it's the best thing. It's the best thing when they, because they're not worried about. They're not looking for the funny. They're not looking for the quick line. They're not. I think that's an awesome thing when people are kind of off their game.
Well, I know when I was down there and I did a game set with y'all. It was
y'all. Wait. Did you feel the need to say y'all because we're in Florida?
No, I'm a y'all guy.
Are you?
I'm
okay.
Really? Oh yeah. I'm a y'all guy. I'm a y'all guy.
Okay.
I've been a y'all guy for a while. It's North Side Chicago. We say y'all, and anyway. So when I was down there with y'all, I remember doing. I remember the Improv Center. I remember there were a couple of games where I was like, I have no idea what's happening right now. I don't know what this game is about. And a major part of that is. I just don't care. I just don't care. I don't care. And when I say I just don't care, it's not that I just don't care, so I'm not going to pay attention. It's that I don't care I don't care what the audience's outcome about how well I did is going to be. And I'm not there to impress anybody. I'm there to be with those people up there who have the trust in me to go, come and do this. And we're not going to explain everything ahead of time. And I don't feel sorry for the people that have never done those things. I think, I have never done those pieces. I look at them and go, good for you. You're up here and you're doing it. That's great. That's great. It's, it's just 1 minute of your life. It's crazy. You don't even have to, you don't live up here. It's not going to give you cancer.
No, but it's a good, it's a great thing. When Zach brought you in, I think it was Chris Dinger was out, I guess, in L.A. for several years ago and took like a series of your classes. And it was funny. He was on Facebook every couple of days talking about how it was and how, and he's a very good improviser. He's just really very, very good actor and is really accomplished on stage and well respected here. So when you hear somebody, one of your teachers and one of the people that you respect, oh my God, this was intense. I learned so much. Sometimes I doubt when you hear that, it's kind of reassuring to think, okay, even your teachers on occasion feel these things. Even as they're learning, they're feeling these things. So it's not so horrible that you're feeling these things.
Oh yeah. I was talking to Jill Bernard, a wonderful actor and teacher and improviser, and she runs huge theater in Minneapolis. And I said to her, nobody gives me notes anymore. Nobody gives me notes. When I'm performing, I don't get notes, and afterwards I don't get notes. And you reach this certain, you can reach this certain point where you become an elder statesman, and you are saying, well, what more is there? And then Jill saw me in a show, and she said, ready for some notes? And I went, wow, yeah, wow, yeah. And she gave me notes, and she was spot on all those notes. And it was very exciting to suddenly be in a place where somebody was looking at me and I could change. But, I understand, and Chris is really a good improviser, and he's also, he understands what it is that we're all doing, and he's taking a chance, and he's a mentor to many people, I think, isn't he?
He is. He's, Yes, the SAC is taking a little bit of a change. They got new artistic director. Mike Carr is in there and all that. So there's a lot of new direction, and it's a positive thing. It's a very, very positive thing. And so when your classes came in, it was at the right time. We needed that. We needed that focus. I couldn't afford them all, but they were 100% worth it. I say that, but they're 100% worth it. The classes I was able to attend. And I said in one post that they were brutal, and what I meant by that was, you're right there with us. You're right that it's like you're in a car, and like as a spirit, you're there. And why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you feeling this way? Why is your character reacting that way? And it's funny because I was watching Richard.
Can I just stop you there?
Right
I don't think I ask why. Do I ask why?
Well,
I don't know that.
And again, it's been a while. I think you were trying to get me to identify what my character was feeling versus what I was feeling.
Right. So it's not like why. It's like, what are you feeling?
Right.
It's not a why. It's a what.
And Richard Paul, another great teacher at SAC, was doing a series of workshops here. And what people don't, I saw a friend of mine who was uncomfortable because it was sort of like psychotherapy. You got to react. This is happening? Your character would react this way. Why is he reacting? What is it that you're? And I think what I was finding is, and even in myself, is the average person is not in touch with how they feel. They don't know when they should be angry. They're angry when they're sad or depressed, or they're depressed when they're mad or angry. And I think being in touch with you makes you a better actor. And I think the reason a lot of people are uncomfortable when they come to workshops like yours or workshops like Richard was doing is because you're going to have to accept that, okay, I have some feelings I need to understand and relate to, because if I don't, it's not going to be genuine on stage.
Right. Right. For me, I'm always very careful about saying what the average person would say, or where you go, the average person says this, or normally somebody would do that. Because when we're acting, we are essentially ourselves underneath all those things. But we're also a hyper version of ourselves. We're giving ourselves an opportunity at that moment on that stage to say, what if I could follow through on this emotional track that I normally put a stop at because I live in a society, a culture that doesn't allow me to do this. That day I get to act out, or that day I get to I get to do what I wouldn't normally do. I get to tell this person what I wouldn't. Excuse me. I sneezed. I wouldn't normally what I wouldn't historically, not normally, I wouldn't historically say. So is it psychotherapy, or is it somebody saying, I'm going to keep playing this song, and I want you to keep singing, and you're going to get to a point where you go, where you think you don't know what the lyrics are, but I'm going to go, no, you know what the lyrics are. Keep singing it. That's your voice. Keep talking. Keep singing. And my point isn't to go, what happened in your childhood? And I know you're not saying that. My direction isn't to say that. My quest isn't to say that. My quest is to say, do you know how great you are right now? Do you know how fantastic you are right now? And do you know that you've been holding yourself back, and now it's like there are no doors, there are no windows, there are no walls. There's just you in a field being the greatest you that you can be right now. And that is why you're here. And all the time that you've been shackled, you're not shackled anymore. You're up on stage and you're able to, within the guidelines of that scene, you're able to flourish and flow, evolve, unfurl. You are able to do that right now. And if you're fearful of that, well, I got a couple questions for you. What are you doing here? And what if you weren't fearful? What would that look like? Let's take a moment just to play that out. And to see that you're going to walk away and still be you, and still hold on to your you-ness, and still have your story and your fucking friends and all that stuff that you've got. But at the end of the day, why are you here? And why you're here is a larger question than why are you in this room right now? Why are you here? What are you here to do? What are you here to do? You're here to be all those things. So if you're fearful, great. What if today you played a guy that wasn't fearful? Because you can, because that's what we do. And all of that information came out of your skull, not out of a playwright's skull. And that's fine too.
I love it when you talk. It's great stuff.
I wish I was passionate about it.
No, you should work on that. And now I was reading through the emails that you sent me, and you're doing some really cool stuff. You're putting a lot of your classes on where the people can download them or buy them and play videos.
It's called iActing, and it's 2 classes that I did for this company, and they're online. And I haven't seen them, but the production quality while I was there was great. And it does give people an opportunity to go through exactly what I went through right now. I mean, I had a plan for that class, and then it went in its own way. And that class is that particular class, those 2 classes that were taped were very, very strong. And a lot of the people that were in that class are students that I've worked with for many years. But people are able to look at it, and people are able to call in, and people are able to have questions. It's really an amazing program. I'm really proud to be part of it, and they want me to do more, but my schedule is so crazy. Maybe if I saw some paychecks coming in that were like, "You got $1 million," like, oh no, I'll do more now.
And I'll tell you what, it'd be 100% worth it because your stuff was just really.
It would be what?
It'd be 100% worth it because you're.
I lost you. Oh, PJ.
You can't hear me? Are you there? All right, looks like we lost him. We're going to see if we get him back. It is Skype. Let's see if we get him back here. Hold on one second. We're going to hang up and then call him back. 1 second. All right. Well, it looks like we may have lost David, but so the interview is going to come to an end. But wait. Looks like we got him. Nope, we don't have him. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if we got him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we've lost David, but that's all right. I want to thank David for being on today. We'll try to get him back another time. It is 1:40 in the afternoon. We will figure this out and go from there. I want to thank you for tuning in to PJ and Friends, and this will be on YouTube very shortly. If I can get him back, we'll do this another time. Once again, this is Ben.
You're listening to PJ and Friends on pjandfriends.com. Orlando, Florida.